Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. What I'm going to talk about today is my experience with the band Kiss. So I remember knowing about Kiss probably long before I ever knew any songs because of the makeup, right? The big persona of the band. It's hard to ignore that, or the first time you see that as a kid, it's like, what is that? And I remember seeing that at some point and then becoming familiar with a couple of radio songs. But like a lot of the other music I've talked about up to this point, exposure to that band came from my older brother, who had a greatest hits CD called Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. And it cataloged a bunch of songs from the 70s up through the 80s. So I had a pretty wide spread of their music to get familiar with. And I didn't listen to all of it or even super consistently, but I became exposed to some of those songs. And really, what kind of triggered my interest in the band is when I was about 16, I was starting to play guitar. I was getting into it. Um, and we had an old nylon string, a classical guitar that my parents had that I kind of learned on. And I would get tablature, which is like easy to read guitar music from bands like Guns N' Roses and Black Sabbath and Kiss, a few of the songs that I knew from my brother. And I just started to warm up and try and learn how to play rock songs that way. But I actually, around the time, probably when I was 16 or so, I guess I'm going to have to look at the dates, but I saw the movie Detroit Rock City. And so that show is about a bunch of kids who idolize Kiss, and they get tickets to go see them at Coble Hall in Detroit. And due to some unfortunate circumstances, they lose their tickets and have to do whatever's necessary to get to the show. So spoilers, they actually get to see Kiss. And the last like minute and a half of that show, it's like, it's all staged because it's a movie, but it showcases everything that would be great to see at a Kiss show. And I just could totally relate. Although I wasn't that enamored with Kiss at the time, I felt that way about bands, the same way these other kids did, that I would have loved to see. I would have absolutely loved to see them. Not too far, or even maybe just before that. Yeah, it was just a little bit after that. I got to see AC/DC for the first time. They hadn't been in Salt Lake in 10 years, and I had a chance to see them. And that was a huge experience. And that's kind of what I felt as I watched that show, being a fan of music. It's like, oh man, I can relate to these kids. So from there, I became really interested in Kiss and started to look into their catalog myself and spend more time with the album that Brad had. And I became a big fan. So I think there's kind of two groups of people. There's people that think that Kiss is really great, or they're a walking joke, you know? And there's not that many people in the middle. I think if you just like rock songs, you would appreciate maybe a Kiss song on the radio. But I'm one of those people who believe they're a monumental and very important part of rock and roll history, especially in the United States. What they did for the theatrical production stage show is, it's a big deal. They made going to a concert something special, and a lot of bands have just built upon that, absolutely. And I think they had this kind of persona long before they even had a decent catalog. They were big, but their songs weren't all that great. But over time, I think they have developed a really fantastic catalog. So I appreciate Kiss. Ace Frehley is a guitar player, Gene Simmons is a bass player and vocalist, but really, Paul Stanley is where it's at. Paul Stanley is an incredible frontman with a fantastic singing voice. Incredible singing voice. He's one of the few people that when he plays live, I'm okay with some improvisation in the vocals. He kind of sings his own tune sometimes, and 99% of the time, it's as good or better than something he originally sang. So I love Paul Stanley. He's aged, unfortunately. I mean, he's 70 years old, and I think they do a lot with backing tracks and things now. But yeah, man, that guy could sing. He's a performer too. Like if you listen to old clips, a lot of times, he'd be kind of off on his guitar playing because he's so worried about dancing and performing and being that guy in the front. And he was that guy. I never had a chance. I never took the chance to see Kiss. I'm not sure why. I feel kind of dumb that I haven't. I know that they're touring. They're doing some rescheduled dates in 2021 for their final show, and I'm going to make sure that I go see that. I know it's not the same, but Kiss is pretty fantastic. So the song I'm going to play is Detroit Rock City, Ode to the Great. So I'll have a version of it down below. Give it a jam. The song is super basic. There's not a whole lot going on, so you really need to go listen to it. to do it justice. But this is Detroit Rock City. My song and it pulls me through. Am I strong? Tell me what I gotta do. I got to turn off. Everybody's gonna need their food. Put down. Everybody's gonna need their food. It really is hard to beat Kiss for just good, solid rock songs. Paul Stanley, oh, he's the man.